Come in.
Hey Sandy, Chandler Chittom with Salesforce. Great to see you.
Good, nice to meet you.
How are you?
Doing good, how are you?
Awesome, I'm doing great. This is an awesome Tuesday morning. I'm really excited.
Yeah, me too.
So, Bobby informed me we have about 20 minutes this morning. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Cool. Well, in order to streamline this, because I know your time is valuable as president of such a successful company,
Right.
I want to ask, is there anyone else that you'd like to have in this meeting?
No, not today.
Okay, perfect. So I'm sure Bobby gave you some of my information already, but I'd like to offer you my business card
Great.
just in case you need any more.
Thank you.
So I created an agenda for today. I have that
Excellent.
here, and I'd like to run through that with you.
Okay.
So first, I'd like to ask you some questions and take notes on those questions,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Yeah.
And then in hopes of confirming some research that I did prior to this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And then next, I have a few questions regarding the problems that you've run into, or maybe problems that you don't really know about yet. And then we can move from there. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
Awesome. So I believe one of the reasons that Bobby put us in touch with each other is not only because my specialty at Salesforce is focusing on clients that are of the same size as you guys, but also because my family has actually been in the GNC and contract cleaning industry for over 40 years.
Impressive.
Yeah, so I know the industry pretty well,
Right.
and I'm aware that at times one of the biggest issues for contract cleaners and maintenance companies is not only the amount of competition and
Right.
saturation in the market, but also the retention of maintenance crews and people. So have you found this to be the case for DOG, and if so, why do you think that is?
Well, Chandler, being a maintenance worker is not necessarily a very glamorous job, so it's not a particularly attractive job to the
Sure.
current people looking for careers. We've had a really high turnover rate in the past few years, but thankfully we've been able to maintain growth.
Right, great. And so currently, correct me if I'm wrong, you're sitting at 77 maintenance employees,
That's correct.
and that's the number you generally like to stay at.
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay. So, and also if I'm not mistaken, that's your largest group of employees in
Yeah.
the company.
By a long shot.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, how long does it take to train a new maintenance employee since you're having a lot of turnover?
Well, now that we've reached our current size, I don't have to do any of the training anymore, which is definitely a time saver.
Definitely.
However, maintenance training is a large expense for us.
Mhm.
Training these employees takes about 3 weeks because before we know whether or not an employee is going to work out, we pay $8 an hour for the first year on the job in that position. So that costs us at least $960 in labor costs, just off the top of my head, to train them. Plus, the productivity and efficiency is slowed down a lot during those 3 weeks. If the employee does not work out, then we have to start the process all over again.
Right.
And in the last quarter of 2017, we had to train 9 new employees across our 4 cities, which is pretty average.
Okay, so 9's pretty average for you.
Yeah, each
For a
quarter.
quarter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, thanks for sharing that information with me. I'd like to revisit that point later,
Okay.
but for now we're going to move on to another question I have for you, which is, what is the process and how long do you currently spend on sales territory tracking and analysis?
Well, every Monday I come into my office and first thing I do is check emails from Friday. Because every Friday afternoon I take all of my available salesmen out for lunch so I can remind them to email me their sales report.
Okay.
Of course, these reports are filled out on a report template we made 15 years ago. Of course, we equip each of our sales team members with their own digital scanner and printer for the back of their vehicles so they can send their reports in from their very location. Well, they always give me grief, and never fails at least one of them forgets. So
Sure.
I'm always chasing after them to get that data.
Mhm.
Then I take those PDFs and reports and I put them into an Excel file manually to give me a good visual graph and a chart to see how we're doing.
Right.
So obviously monotonous work, to say the least, but I'm friends with some contract cleaners on the West Coast that I met at our last national trade show, and they informed me that that's pretty much on par with the rest of the industry, and they're doing the same thing.
Right, yeah. That sounds pretty standard from what I know.
Mm-hmm.
And previously, I mentioned how crowded the market is, especially in Atlanta with there being over 50 large competitors for you. So how can you, as the president and one of the most important decision makers, if not the most important decision maker, separate DOG from the rest of those 50 competitors in Atlanta and then even more in your other cities?
That's a great question, Chandler. And recently, even though we had growth last year, our sales team had several instances where they either forgot to follow up with the client or got a day and time wrong for a meeting, and that actually cost us that entire client and business altogether.
Well,
I think that has to do with how similar we are to everyone in the industry. It's easy just to go with the next guy when one of our salespeople messes up like that. Also, every day I try to find something to think about growth and find out what my competition is doing in order to stay one step ahead of them, which is important when pricing and service is so similar in an industry such as ours. Honestly, I don't have enough time to perform this task like I would want to or how our company needs me to. I spend way too much of my day putting out fires or dealing with the disorganization we seem to have at times.
Okay, so how much time a day do you think is being wasted for you because of a lack of an effective sales tracking system?
Honestly, I have avoided considering this number because I thought it might scare me. I say I spend probably about 3 hours a day on things that I should not have to deal with because we simply don't have the right tools to let our salespeople do what they're supposed to. We have to make sure everyone's showing up to clean and etc. As the president of the company, 3 hours a day is a lot of time for me to be wasting.
Right. Well, thank you for being so honest with me and answering those questions. And as I mentioned earlier, I was taking notes throughout, and there are a few things that came up that stood out to me that I'd like to address.
Okay, great.
Awesome. So after gaining a better understanding of your company and the inner workings, it seems to me as if one of the best ways that you could be helped right now is through a better system, and that's pretty obvious, it seems, and I think we can both agree on that. So I actually brought the product here with me today on my computer, so you can take a look at that with me.
Okay.
If you don't mind me sitting over here.
Not at all.
Alright, so the first thing I want to address is the high turnover rate that we talked about within the industry, not just DOG.
Okay.
While I can't directly solve the issue of this turnover, Salesforce is able to to enable the admin to create an app that will intuitively train your employees, salespeople, and even your maintenance workers.
Okay, great.
So while I have a vision for the look of this app, being completely customizable in nature, it can look however you would like it to look like, or however Bobby or if anyone else had input.
Okay.
So this app could present the trainee with reading material, for example, on how to best disinfect the touch points in a bathroom, or in an office space.
Okay.
Maybe the most efficient way to dust mop a hallway, or even contain videos embedded in the lessons on how to perform the tasks. So kind of from a beginning stage to advanced stage of training.
Okay.
And this would be a quicker way to train your maintenance employees and cut down dramatically on the training costs, and even cover the retraining of current employees. So this training method will create a benchmark within the whole company, and having one company method is going to bring up the quality of your whole work. And so what we're looking at right here is that app and that picture of what it would look like on a phone.
Well, I mean, in a perfect world, Chandler, this is definitely something that I'd be interested in. Unfortunately, we don't have anyone that tech savvy in our office.
Great. So that's a good point, Sandy. And we will, of course, at Salesforce work with you to develop the app.
Ooh, okay.
And we have people there who will actually do that for you to make it look however you would like it to look like. So you're not going to be on your own for that.
Perfect.
Within this app as well, I believe we should incorporate your time cards within it. So right now you're paying $15 per employee per month is what I learned from my research. And that's for a service that allows your maintenance employees to just clock in on their phones.
Right. Well, that would be nice to go ahead and get rid of that cost.
Right. So we could allow your people to do that within the same app.
Okay.
And so right here, you can see that we have that option through the app.
Great.
And I think that'd be more efficient as well to cut that cost out.
Right.
And I'd like to now discuss how Salesforce can directly help you as the president.
Okay.
So now that I understand exactly how you're tracking your sales numbers and territories, I believe Salesforce has a solution for you.
Okay.
We call it our Einstein program.
Okay.
So this is our state-of-the-art sales and territory tracking system
Okay.
that will relieve you from compiling all that data every Monday morning like you say you do.
Oh.
So here we are seeing the platform as the sales manager, you
Okay.
would see it. So you can notice that this chart here is what you'll care about most.
Right.
This is going to be where you can monitor the performance of your team. When your team uploads their numbers and data and info into here,
Okay.
Salesforce is going to use artificial intelligence to give specific insights.
Okay.
And this is going to create more opportunities for you as the president to see exactly where you need to have your sales team focusing. And you'll be able to send out mass notifications to your sales team, reminding them through the week to input their numbers. And that'll go straight to their phones or emails, whichever you prefer, or both.
Perfect. Okay.
And that'll make sure you don't have to track anyone down on a Monday morning.
Right. Right.
This is also going to eliminate the need for the printers and the scanners in the back of the cars.
Perfect. That'll eliminate the cost for those too.
Exactly, and I'm sure that's no little thing.
Right.
So on a larger scale, Salesforce will actually tell you, hey Sandy, you need to close this specific sale because if you don't, you might not reach your projections for the year.
Okay.
And it does this by looking at past activity. It'll actually create a forecast for you for how much you should set your revenue goal.
Okay.
And because it's artificial intelligence, it learns as it goes. And so it's going to start off being extremely smart, but as you use it with more activity, it's going to be able to make more accurate projections.
Right. On specifically me.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So Salesforce is not just a tool for you as the president. However, it's in the name because it's also for the salesman, and that's going to increase their productivity. It can reduce their human error. And Salesforce can actually remind your team if they've forgotten to follow up with a potential client.
Perfect.
And so you mentioned that was an issue in the past.
Yeah.
And so, that can help eliminate that problem. It'll also manage their calendars for them, and we found this is effective for those certain salesmen who are a little more cluttered.
Right.
And then this is going to make sure that people never forget to follow up with clients ever again.
Okay.
And dealing with the concentrated market, kind of going along with that, this isn't something, again, that I can directly deal with because I can't make the competition disappear.
Right.
However, Salesforce will equip you as a leader with all these tools to separate yourself from the competition.
Right.
By, when your competition's forgetting to call someone back,
Right.
there's your salesman right at their front door, right on their email, right at their phone.
Perfect.
Because Salesforce is reminding them.
Well, you're talking about notifications, and I tend to have my own system of organization. Plus, I don't want to add any more notifications to what I already have, so I'm not sure if I want that.
Right, and that's fair, and everyone works differently, and we realize that at Salesforce that different people have different preferences.
Okay.
So actually, your notifications are completely customizable.
Okay.
So you don't have to receive any if that's your preference. We can go in
Show
right
me?
here,
Okay.
to the notifications. We'll go to Settings, Notifications tab, and then you can see there's about 15 different options. So it's
Check them out.
yes, you can check them off, check
Okay.
whatever ones you want on,
Mhm.
and that your employees can do that as well.
Great. Okay, well, I'm starting to agree that Salesforce will definitely pay for itself in the first year, but can you tell me how it would continue after the first year to create value for us?
Yeah, of course, Sandy. So everything that I've showed you today is actually a part of our recently updated version, the Spring 2018 update. So at Salesforce, we have a team that is solely focused and dedicated to listening to our customers' requests
Okay.
and putting them into action and finding real solutions
Okay.
for our customers. While this is the best system on the market right now,
Right.
in a year, we don't want to be the same. No one wants to be the same in a year. You want to be better.
Sure.
And that is what we will do. We'll have an automated update again next year.
Okay.
And that'll definitely benefit you next year as well.
Well, that's great. That's good news.
Yeah, so to kind of recap our conversation, the features we discussed that are of most interest to you are, number one, the customizable app.
Okay. Okay.
So that's going to offer the different trainings for different employees and the clocking in capabilities.
Okay.
And then number 2, the Einstein artificial intelligence.
Okay.
And that's going to be your sales and territory tracking and a lot of other things as well that we discussed.
Gotcha.
So, excuse me, by no longer having the expensive training costs associated with the maintenance people, you're going to save, by my estimates, every quarter, taking the training cost that you mentioned of $960, multiplying that by 9, which is your average, that's going to be $8,640 per quarter that you can save through training.
Okay.
So the app's going to cut down on the turnover as well, most likely, because it's going to refresh your current employees on the methods and keep them at their best.
Perfect.
Yeah, so for a company-wide program, monthly costs are going to run, it's $85 per employee.
Okay.
And right now, I suggest that you have 31 employees who I would like to get on the program.
Okay.
And so that is going to come out to $2,635 per month for those 31 users.
Okay.
And then approximately another $230. I don't see it being any more than that.
Okay.
For the maintenance people's app and the manager's app.
Okay.
So there's also, give you a heads up, a one-time installation fee of $18,000.
Great.
And that's going to include the training and the setup, but also include the building of the app as well.
Okay.
And another plus is Salesforce will be able to cut out the cost of the printers and the scanners. So
Right.
to kind of go through what Salesforce will be able to do for you, specifically at DOG, cutting out the printers and scanners.
Right.
The weekly lunch report meetings, won't have to do those anymore unless you want to. The time you spend on Monday mornings on the monotonous and mind-numbing work,
Perfect.
that'll be gone. The maintenance training of $8,640 per quarter.
Okay.
So write that there.
Yep.
The current time tracking system, you're spending about over $1,100 on that every month.
Wow.
And so obviously also the ultimate cost of losing business by forgetting to follow up.
Okay.
So I'm going to draw here, we have our savings here that we've compiled, and then here the cost of Salesforce. And you can see already that Salesforce is going to start to work for you immediately.
Yeah, these over here are adding up.
Right. So, Sandy, our time is almost up, but before I leave, do you have any other questions for me?
I don't have any questions, but I would like to run this past Bobby for just to make sure this is definitely something that would help him since he is our VP of sales. But I'm feeling pretty good about this program.
Great. And so Monday mornings are obviously still pretty busy for you.
Right, right.
So how does Tuesday morning next week sound?
That's great. 1 week from today.
Great. So we can meet next Tuesday. If you could sign right here for me, just to confirm, for my boss, he likes to keep track of my progress as well.
Of course. Here you go. It was a pleasure, Chandler.
Well, the pleasure's all mine, Sandy. We'll see you next Tuesday.
See you in a week.
Awesome.